Have you ever walked alone in the woods and felt like you weren't really alone? That feeling when you hear a branch snap behind you and you turn around to find nothing there. Or maybe there is something there. The Appalachian Trail stretches over 2,000 miles through some of America's most remote wilderness. Dense forests where anything could hide, thousands of people hike it every year, but some come back with stories that are hard to believe. Stories of giant footprints, massive shadows moving through the trees, and encounters with something that shouldn't exist. They call it Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the wild man of the woods, a creature that walks upright like a man but stands 8 feet tall and is covered in dark fur. What you're about to hear are 30 real encounters, reported by ordinary people who went into the woods looking for adventure and found something they never expected. These stories will make you question what's really out there in the wilderness. They'll make you look over your shoulder on every forest path, and they might just convince you that we're not alone in these ancient woods. So gather around and listen carefully. These are the 30 times Bigfoot was spotted on the Appalachian Trail. And remember, every shadow could be hiding something watching you back. Our first encounter takes us to the mountains of Georgia. Tom was enjoying a quiet afternoon hike when the forest suddenly went silent. Then, from deep in the woods came a sound unlike anything he'd ever heard. A deep, guttural howl that seemed to shake the very trees around him. It wasn't a bear, it wasn't a wolf, it was something else entirely. Tom ran all the way back to his car and never returned to that section of trail. To this day, he wonders what made that terrifying sound. In North Carolina, the Johnson family was enjoying their first night camping on the trail. 8-year-old Sarah was the first to notice something watching them from the trees. The figure stood nearly 8 feet tall, watching them silently. When the father shined his flashlight toward it, the figure simply melted back into the forest. They packed up immediately and hiked out by moonlight, too frightened to stay another minute. In Tennessee, Maria was walking her dog Rex on a trail that bordered the national forest. Rex suddenly stopped and began barking at something in the trees. She caught a glimpse of something large and dark moving deeper into the woods. Rex, normally fearless, was trembling with terror. Animals have instincts we've lost. They know when something dangerous is near. Whatever Rex sensed in those woods was big enough to terrify a 90-pound German Shepherd. As evening fell on a remote section of trail in Virginia, David was making his way back to camp. He began to hear footsteps matching his own rhythm. But when he looked back, the trail was empty, yet the footsteps continued. "Hello, is someone there?" The only answer was silence, but the footsteps resumed the moment he started walking again. He didn't feel safe until he reached his tent and zipped it shut, but all night he heard something circling his campsite in the darkness. Near a crystal-clear stream in Virginia, the Martinez family made a discovery that changed everything they believed about the wilderness. There, pressed deep into the soft mud beside the stream, was a footprint unlike anything they'd ever seen. 18 inches long, 7 inches wide with 5 distinct toes. They documented everything, but the photos couldn't capture the sheer size and depth of the impression. Whatever made this print weighed far more than any human and had walked on 2 legs. Ranger Mike Thompson has worked the Great Smoky Mountains for 15 years, but he'd never seen anything like what he found that morning. A structure made of logs and branches, some weighing hundreds of pounds, woven together in an intricate pattern. The logs were far too heavy for any human to move alone, yet they were placed with incredible precision. A group of biology students from Virginia Tech were conducting a plant survey when they made an unexpected discovery. Coarse, dark hair unlike anything from known wildlife in the region. They sent it for DNA analysis, hoping to identify the animal it came from. The results were baffling. The DNA didn't match any known species in North America. It was primate-like, but from no primate that should exist in these mountains. After a late spring snowfall in Pennsylvania, hiker Janet Walsh found a trail that defied explanation. A line of massive footprints stretching for over a mile across the mountainside. The stride length was over 6 feet, suggesting something much taller than any human. The tracks led straight up terrain so steep and rocky that even experienced climbers would struggle. Then they simply vanished at the base of a sheer cliff. Whatever made those tracks had either climbed straight up a vertical rock face or simply disappeared into thin air. On a remote ridge in West Virginia, there's a place locals call the breaking ground. Dozens of mature trees, some over a foot thick, snapped off at exactly 10 feet high. The breaks are too clean for storm damage, too high for any known animal, but perhaps the strangest evidence isn't destruction but creation. Hikers regularly find small gifts left on the trail: stones, feathers, and flowers arranged in deliberate patterns. Always in the same locations, always arranged with care and intelligence. Someone or something is leaving these tokens for humans to find. But who? And why? Mark was filtering water from a remote creek when he heard rustling in the bushes across the stream. Then he saw it, a massive hair-covered arm reaching out from behind a tree. The arm was easily twice the size of a human's, covered in thick black hair. Mark couldn't see the rest of the creature, just that enormous arm moving with deliberate intelligence. Sarah's figure can be seen walking behind the trees. None of them had seen it while filming. Whatever it was had been watching them without their knowledge. How many times has something been watching from the shadows, just beyond our awareness? 80-year-old Henry Caldwell has lived beside the Appalachian Trail his entire life. He's seen them dozens of times, he says, the old people of the woods. They're not dangerous, he insists, just shy. They were here long before us, and they'll be here long after. 30 encounters, hundreds of footprints, dozens of photographs. A pattern of sightings stretching the entire length of the Appalachian Mountains. Scientists say it's all misidentification, hoaxes, and imagination. But can every witness be wrong? Can every piece of evidence be explained away? The evidence suggests something large, intelligent, and unknown lives in these mountains. The Appalachian Trail will always hold its secrets. But the next time you walk alone in the deep woods, pay attention. Listen to the sounds that don't belong. Watch for the shadows that move when there's no wind. And trust that feeling when you know you're being watched, because somewhere in these ancient mountains, something is watching back. 30 encounters. 30 glimpses into the unknown. The question remains, are we alone in the wilderness, or is something ancient and unknown still walking among the trees, just beyond the edge of our understanding?
Welcome to Curious Conundrums, where the wild secrets deepen with every tale. Today we explore 11 Bigfoot encounters inspired by UFO news clipping service. Spanning the U.S. from the 1840s to 2023, these gripping first-hand accounts will captivate you. So dim the lights, secure the doors. Story 1, The Saint. Helen's two-toed tracks from UFO news clipping service. Saint. Helen's 1978. It was a crisp Saturday afternoon in early 1978 when my brother-in-law, Russell Harvey, and I, Bill Nagel from Route 13 in Olympia, were elk hunting near the 1,100-foot line by the Tuttle River, close to Mount St. Helens. The air was sharp with the scent of pine and fresh snow as we trekked along a cat trail. Around 1 p.m. we spotted something odd. Tracks in the snow, unlike anything we'd seen. They were barefoot with 2 toes about 12 inches long and 7 inches wide with a stride of 6 feet. I'd always laughed off Sasquatch tales from this area, but these made me pause. We followed them briefly, marveling at the size and oddity. The prints didn't match a bear or human. 4-legged animals don't leave such a pattern. I'd heard stories of Bigfoot sightings near St. Helens, but this convinced me something was out there. My initial skepticism faded as we turned back, the weight of the unknown settling in. Years later, I still wonder what left those tracks in the snow. If you hike those trails, keep an eye on the ground. Something strange walks there. Story 2. The South Weber Shadow, from Deseret News, South Weber, 1978. It was a quiet week in early 1978 when I, Pauline Markham, a high school student living at 1789 East 76 South in South Weber, Davis County, Utah, glanced out my kitchen window around 4 p.m. on a Sunday. I was getting a drink alone at home when I saw it. A tall figure moving along the ridge behind my house about half a mile away. At first I thought I was imagining things, but it stayed there. Dark brown or black, maybe 8 to 10 feet tall, walking with a long human-like stride. Fear and curiosity gripped me, but I was late for church and didn't investigate, especially not with a snowmobile needed to reach the hill. The next night, my cousin Ron J. Smith, an aircraft inspector from 174 East South Weber Drive, about 2 miles away, stepped out to feed his horse around 150 feet from his pasture. In the moonlight, he saw a similar figure, 7 to 8 feet tall with long arms, move quickly into a clump of trees. Then came 4 loud, inhuman screams like a cougar's cry, but deeper, followed by 3 more from inside his house. His horse seemed unbothered, and the next day only 3 indistinct 18-inch prints remained in the snow 8 to 9 feet apart. Neither of us claimed it was Bigfoot, but the experience lingers. If you live near South Weber, watch the ridges at dusk. Story 3, the Hairy Yowie of Tamworth, from UFO News Clipping Service, Tamworth, 1844. In the 1844, a shepherd traveling from Tamworth to Quirindi in New South Wales, Australia, made camp on a high creek bank. The moon rose, casting light 200 yards around as I smoked my pipe by the fire, my dog beside me. Around an hour later, a curious noise drifted up the creek. I peered into the night and saw him, a figure like a man but larger, gorilla-like, dark-colored, roaring as it moved toward Top Bangara. The sound faded as it disappeared. The next morning, I reached Bell's Mountain by 9 a.m. and told Mr. Bridger about the encounter over breakfast. He mentioned others had seen this hairy yowie in the greater mountains and near Mount Lindsay, often eluding pursuit by night. I marveled at how it could hide in caves by day. The dense, waterless forest from Tamworth to Corubula offered plenty of cover. Some call it myth, but the sightings persist in my memory. If you travel those old trails, listen for the roar. It's no ghost. Story 4, the Loyalhanna Creek Beast, from Pittsburgh Press, Westmoreland County, 1988. It was a chilly night on May 17, 1988, when I, Sam Sherry, a 67-year-old disabled World War II veteran from Wilpon, 5 miles north of Ligonier, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, went fishing along Loyalhanna Creek. I'd roamed these woods for 50 years, but that night changed everything. Around midnight, I spotted a large human-like figure, 6.5 feet tall, 700 pounds, with arms nearly to its ankles, standing 20 feet away. Its skin looked like rawhide, toothless, and it breathed heavily, scratching its abdomen. As I turned to my car, it placed one arm on my shoulder, the other on my back, but I managed to drive off. I later ordered a 5,000-pound steel cable from Abilene, Texas, planning to trap it after hunting season with bait in a loop. The area, part of Chestnut Ridge known for UFO and Bigfoot sightings, felt alive with mystery. I aimed to display it for sale, but until then, the woods hold its secret. If you fish there, beware the shadows. Story 5, the Brown County Skylights, from Journal Courier, Brown County, 1989. It was a Tuesday night, February 2nd, 1989, when I, Robert Zimmerman, a hog farmer near Versailles in Brown County, Illinois, drove with my wife toward Met Sterling on 107. Around 6:40 p.m., we saw 7 or 8 blinking yellow lights circling the sky about 2 or 3 miles from the new prison. Thinking they were prison lights, we watched for 6 or 7 minutes until they vanished. I stopped the car, fearing a collision as they seemed just 2/10 of a mile away, 40 feet above the water tower. I'd never seen anything like it and couldn't explain it. The Brown County Sheriff's Department received similar reports, but Quincy and Springfield airports noted no unusual activity. UFO researchers noted a surge in sightings since 1987, with 44% of 1988 cases unsolved. That night left me rattled. If you drive those roads, watch the sky. It might not be stars. Story 6. The Kansas Turnpike Sasquatch from Capital Journal, Leavenworth County, 1978. It was early Thursday morning, September 30th, 1978, around 2:30 a.m., when I, a motorist driving the Kansas Turnpike 8 miles west of Kansas City, Kansas, spotted a large, dark figure step into my headlights' glare. The creature, auburn-haired and 8 to 10 feet tall, stood erect, its eyes glowing like a cat's as I braked 30 yards away. It moved off the road and vanished into the shadows. I knew it wasn't a man, bear, or gorilla. I reported it, but Leavenworth County authorities dismissed it, though Douglas County confirmed the teletype. Erwin Alpert of the Sasquatch Research Group took it seriously, planning to investigate, citing similar sightings near Linwood and Bonner Springs. He warned against armed hunters trampling evidence. The Sasquatch left me questioning. If you drive that stretch, watch the roadside. Something might step out. Story 7. The Lawrence Field Phantom. From Capital Journal, Douglas County, 1978. It was a Sunday morning in early 1978 when I, one of 2 hunters walking a field 2.5 miles northwest of Lawrence, Douglas County, Kansas, saw a black furry creature about 300 yards away. Standing 8 feet tall on its hind legs, it moved with purpose. We reported it to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Kansas Highway Patrol, and Fish and Game Commission, but a search by 5 officers found no sign of it or its footprints. The sighting puzzled us, and though law enforcement laughed it off, the memory stuck. Later, Erwin Alpert of the Sasquatch Research Group cautioned against amateurs disrupting potential evidence. That field felt alive with mystery. If you hunt there, keep your eyes peeled. Story 8, the South Lake Tahoe Tracks. From personal account, South Lake Tahoe, 02/2023. It was a recent afternoon in 2023 around 5 p.m. when my husband and I took our usual walk on a county trail near South Lake Tahoe, California, after a fresh rain. The ashy, sandy soil was smooth, but by a creek with tree cover and old logs, we froze. Multiple tracks, not bear or human, sprawled across the path. Some were large, others smaller, resembling Bigfoot prints. We took photos and circled them as my husband searched off trail. Then a strange whoop and a single wood knock broke the silence. The woods grew eerily quiet in the deepening shade. I later read a YouTuber's comment about Bigfoots moving closer to towns due to construction and fires, a trend fitting northeastern California's recent blazes. I hope they reach the Sierras safely, but those tracks were a rare, unsettling sight. If you walk those trails, listen for the whoop. Story 9. The Missouri Riverbank Roamer inspired by a new twist. Boone County, 1975. It was a humid July evening in 1975 when I, a 29-year-old fisherman from Columbia, Boone County, Missouri, cast my line along the Missouri River's bank, the air thick with the scent of mud and wildflowers. The sun dipped low, painting the water gold, and I settled into the quiet until a low, rumbling growl broke the peace. I turned, flashlight in hand, and saw it, a towering figure 9 feet tall, covered in dark, matted fur, standing 50 yards upstream. Its eyes caught the beam, glinting yellow, and a musky stench like wet fur and decay wafted over. Heart pounding, I froze as it moved closer, its heavy footsteps crunching the gravel. Then it stopped, tilted its head, and let out a deep roar that echoed off the water. I dropped my rod and ran to my truck, glancing back to see it vanish into the trees. The next morning, I found 17-inch footprints with splayed toes along the bank, too large for any known animal. Local tales later spoke of similar sightings near the river. If you fish those waters, listen for the growl. It's not just the current moving. Story 10, the Arizona Canyon Caller, inspired by a new twist. Coconino County, 1981. It was a crisp September night in 1981 when I, a 33-year-old hiker from Flagstaff, Coconino County, Arizona, camped in a narrow canyon off the Mogollon Rim, the stars bright above the red rock walls. The silence was profound until a series of sharp whooping calls pierced the air around midnight. I grabbed my binoculars, scanning the cliffs, and spotted a figure, 8 feet tall with reddish-brown fur, perched on a ledge 100 yards away. Its eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight, and a rancid odor like spoiled meat drifted down. The calls continued rhythmic and haunting as it descended the rock face with surprising agility. I packed my gear, heart racing, and hiked out as the whoops followed, fading into the distance. Dawn revealed 16-inch tracks with dermal ridges in the canyon floor, leading to a cave. Later, I heard of Bigfoot sightings in these canyons linked to strange vocalizations. If you hike the rim, beware the calls. They signal more than echoes. Story 11. The Wisconsin Pine Hollow Haunter inspired by a new twist. Vilas County, 1986. It was a snowy December night in 1986 when I, a 31-year-old snowmobiler from Eagle River, Vilas County, Wisconsin, rode into Pine Hollow, the forest dense with snow-laden pines. The cold bit my face as I stopped to rest, the engines fading when a low, guttural snarl rose from the trees. I turned my headlamp, catching a glimpse of a 10-foot figure, white fur blending with the snow, standing 30 yards away. Its breath fogged, and a pungent smell like frozen carrion hit me. It lumbered closer. Its massive frame swing then stopped, emitting a series of short, barking roars. I revved the snowmobile and sped off, glancing back as it melted into the white. The next day, I found 19-inch tracks with a 7-foot stride circling my rest spot. Local lore later mentioned Bigfoot in these northern woods, especially in winter. If you ride those trails, watch the snow. It hides a stalker. From snowy tracks to canyon calls, these Bigfoot tales reveal the wild's hidden depths. If they gripped you, comment your thoughts and subscribe for more. Hit the bell. Stay cautious in nature.